All right, we're on to section 8. So before I start talking about class page, which is Unified Classroom's built-in, it's basically a built-in Google Classroom for the most part. I want to show you a website builder because it functions very similarly to the popular website builders. If you haven't experienced either Weebly or Wix, and built your own web page, then this is going to be kind of a very loosey goosey intro for you if you are interested in doing so. It's not hard, and especially if you're a visual person who clicks and drags, and that's the way you kind of navigate how things go. It's very easy to use once you know what you're looking at. So I'm going to abandon Unified Classroom for this segment, and I'm actually going to take you to a website that I use. Yes, we're going to leave, called Weebly. And Weebly is a free online website builder. You can also use Wix, or I'm sure there's other ones that I'm not or less familiar with or not thinking of at the moment. But at this point, I'm just going to show you the one I'm most familiar with. That is my home email, in case anybody was wondering. I'm going to log in, and then I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going about building. So the painted tiger, that's what I use for my art department page. That's how I kind of get everything rolling. Since it's been kind of low activity in the last few weeks or so, I could see how many page views I've had this week. It's not very many. If I have more than one, if I click on this arrow, it will allow me to do this. This one was built as a project for college. And this one I sent out recently to everybody, PSD Health. So if I take a look at that, I can see I haven't updated this since we were out of school. So I haven't seen that yet. But if I go to, I think I'm going to go to Painted Tiger because it's the more, I'd say, in-depth, but it's not really in-depth. Where did you go? It's going to be difficult on me now. There it is. Scroll down. All right, Painted Tiger. Okay, so if I edit this site, I'll show you exactly how it stands right now. This is not the screen, obviously, you would see when you're starting fresh on a website. If you're interested in that, I could build another tutorial as a bonus thing at the end of this curriculum unit training session thing. But as far as right now, what I have established already, this is what the building site looks like. So this is a building phase. So this is the part that you kind of manipulate, you work things, you kind of make it go. And until you hit the publish button, none of your changes are public. So I can make as many manipulations on this page as I want. But until I hit that publish page, nobody knows what the changes are except me when I log into this particular screen. So over on the left, you have all of your basic tools. In the middle, this big screen right here, this is your website page. You also have tabs at the top. So the basic function of adding a page is the basic function of adding a page in class pages, which is why I'm showing you what seems like a weird tangent to go off on. So if I was to add a page, I already have this set up, so I'll just add a new page and I'll delete it later. But when I go to add a page, I'm going to go to Pages, and it's going to show me all of the tabs that I've created. So what I have is I have a home page, I have grades in different sections. I have one for Arts and Bots. I created a Book Nook one so that I could read stories out loud to students during the distance learning. The MES Art blog, which I update to say every once in a while what classroom stories are going on, and about Artsonia. And Artsonia is our online digital portfolio for our kids in the art department, at least as far as I know Cambridge uses it, and I know Maplewood Elementary uses it as well. I use it pretty extensively. I don't know how the processes work in other buildings, but I know it's built into the system that every time a student finishes a project, they're expected to take a picture and upload it to their digital portfolio, so that if the worst comes to worst and they don't get their project back, they've had an email sent home that says, hey, come look at this project, and they have a digital copy that gets emailed to parents almost immediately. So I can keep it for the art show without guilt until the end of the year, and they get to brag about it when they get home too. So to say all of that, over here on the left, since this is already established, there's quite a few pages over here. If I want to add a page, I'm going to hit the plus. I'm going to choose what kind of a page. Am I going to do a standard page, a blog page? I'm just going to do a standard page. And I'm going to call it test. And I can hide it in navigation, which means I have it up here and it lists, or it's just a link somewhere. I'm not going to hide it. I'm just going to leave it as a test. Visibility, public. So you can change different settings, but I'm going to go ahead and click done. And then you can see this page. So if I actually take this and drag it up to reorder it, you'll see that test appears right between K2 and 3.4. So right here. So what I'm doing is I'm basically rearranging the order. And what I can do is if I want it to be a drop menu, at least on Weebly, what I can do is I can take it and I can drag it in like it's an indent. And then all of a sudden underneath home, I have a staging area for the lessons I'm putting together. And I also have test. And the test is the page that we're on right now. I can tell because I didn't put in burgers and fries. It's just a default. I chose a theme that was a food theme and then added my own pictures. So you can click here to edit. If you edit the background, you can change the image or the color or replace. This is where you kind of customize what you're doing. So if you don't like the burgers and fries, you can look through your computer. You can find an image URL and look for instance, if I want a cat. And I'm going to look for, instead of just cat, I'm going to look for an image of a cat. And let's say he looks pretty happy. Let's click on him. And if I want to just have him, I can control and click and open the image in a new tab, or I prefer save image as so that it just stays. I'm just going to do it on my desktop because I'll delete it later. And then I can come back, or the other thing that you can do with Weebly, it says URL. I can open the image in a new tab where it just has the picture. It doesn't open the website, just the picture. And I'm going to click on this, copy it. So Command C is a shortcut for copy. And I'm going to come over here. I'm going to add that here. And as long as it ends in one of those, which this one does not, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And instead, I'm going to search my computer and upload one. And there it is. So I'm going to open that up. And it'll replace it. I can drag here to edit. So he's looking pretty happy. And that one's going to, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to hit save so that I can get out of the image editor and go back to my page. So I can type whatever I'd like here. Hi, kitty. But here's the other thing that you want to see. Where it says drag elements here, what that means is it's a blank slate. It has no text boxes. It's got no picture boxes. It's got everything ready to roll. You got to decide what you're putting where. So over here in the build, hang on a second. I got to get a binky. Okay, we're back. Over here in the build area, when you click on build, it's going to give you all of the basic building blocks. So if you think of these kind of like wooden blocks that you're building a building, if you have a door block and a window block and a building wall block and a roof block, this is all about having those pieces that you're constructing into some kind of format. So if I have over here, structure is all about how you're putting things together. So if you put in a new section, it makes that into a group. I can do anything I want in that section. It just kind of gives me a holding place. So if I come up and I decide I want to put an image there, I'm going to select that and I'm going to drag it in there. And I would be able to upload an image. If I wanted to put in a title above the image, I can do that. And I'd be able to edit that. If I want to put in text and I'd like it to be beside the image, I'm going to click and drag it until I see this blue line right beside the box so that I know it's agreeing that it's going to go to the side. I can click on this line. I can make the picture bigger, or I can dedicate more space to the text that I'm going to type. I can also, if I like to, put in a slideshow. And if I put it just below the picture, it will fit in just that space. If I put it so that that blue highlighted line goes all the way across the bottom, it'll actually span the whole bottom. I can choose what kind of slideshow I'd like, if I just want the simple one or thumbnails on the bottom. It's up to you. It's really customizable for the most part. That's why I enjoy it. And then you select photos and put them into that slideshow. For now, I'm just going to X out. So basically, you're clicking and dragging. If you need a divider in between the two sections, you can put a dividing line. You can put spacers. Spacers are all about if you didn't quite get it in the right spot, or you think something needs a little bit more room in between, you can take the spacer and you can actually drag and click and make it up and down. You can insert YouTube videos. You can put a search box in. I don't usually bother with that. You can group things so that you can make this all one group so that you can copy and paste it. So let's say I want this block, this group, this whole thing right here, this section. I clicked on the outside and the section highlighted. So if I wanted to, I can edit the background, make it a color so that I know it's a section that's different. Okay. So I can actually do that to divide out my spaces. If you play with it, the more you play with it, the better you get. And that's basically it. The more you play and the more you explore and just say, hey, what happens if I click on this? The worst you have to do is delete it. The only thing that I can say is that there's no undo button, so you do have to remember how to do it. And if you accidentally delete something, you're just going to have to replace it. But the nice thing about this is if you select this group, I can actually, I believe, copy and paste it, but I'm going to group this. So I'm going to put, it's an invisible line, so you won't see anything. But I'm going to select this. So shift, nope. Click and drag, click and drag. All right. Put the title above the picture where I had it. If it doesn't agree with me, I'm going to grab that grab handle and go and put that inside of that dotted line. I should probably change the color so you guys can see better. Let's change it to something lighter. There we go. All right, so the dotted line is where the group kind of ends. So I'm going to grab all of the elements that I wanted to have in the first place. And I'm going to grab this and put it down where I had it before. There was a spacer there. I almost forgot, so grab that. Everything is an element you can manipulate. So with the group, it's a new update. So it's one of those things that is brand new for me. So I'm just enjoying these as far as that goes. But what I can do is I can come up to this little arrow and I can actually move it to a different page. So if I move it to my staging area, it will send the whole group off to a different page. So it's no longer there. So now it's in the staging area rather than the test page. If I go back to the test page, it's no longer there. And if I go to it was in staging, hang on. If I decide I want it on both pages, that's actually an easy thing too. What you're going to do is you're going to come here. And again, you're going to hit that arrow. It doesn't matter which arrow. If you just wanted to copy the title, you can. I want the whole group. So I'm going to get that arrow and I'm going to send it a copy to the test page. And now you see that there's a copy of it here. And there's a copy of it on the staging page as well. So you can either move it so that it eliminates in one area, or you can copy it so that it copies itself and it's both. And then in order to delete that, you can come up and I could delete the whole group if I want. And I'm going to come back to pages and I'm going to hit the test page and I'm going to delete that page as well because I don't want that on my website. Okay, so now I have it back to where it was, but in order to save the changes, I'm going to hit publish. And now this is the URL. So it will actually allow you to copy that if you wish. And that's where you're going to visit to direct your students to. So this will not be the editor version. This will be the real version. And you can see that the toolbox is missing. and all of the navigation things are there. It's just all the editing software is done. So this is what is published to the internet. It is that easy. Fidgeting with it sometimes can be a little frustrating when you're clicking and dragging, but once you get the hang of it, it is not bad at all. And if you're missing something, you can actually see, go back. If you're missing something, if you look down here at the, I'm going to exit out of this, add app. Apps are kind of like these little tools that you can put into your toolbox. So if you add the app and let's say you want to, it gives you some themed stuff. So let's see what's made by Weebly. And you know you want a table. You want to be able to add tables and to do that, or you want to be able to add a frequently asked questions section, or you want to be able to, I think group was one of those things that I had to do. So if I just type in group, it may not see it's an app. But if you click on that and it says free and you add that, it's going to tell me I already have it. So connect it. It's going to put it into your toolbox. So when I go back, and it was already there, as you know, but if you don't see it when you log in and you start to build a web page, it's right here. It adds those apps. So installed apps are the ones that you are adding on to it to make your life a little easier if there's some function that you want. So that wraps up a very, very brief overview of Weebly if you are interested in publishing your own web page. But those things that I've covered will be applicable into class pages. So I just wanted to go a brief overview of Weebly and how a website builder functions most of the time, or at least the theory of it. And then you're going to see some parallels in the Google Class, or not the Google Class, but the class pages in Unified Classroom. So we will see you in the next segment.